Prince Sigvald the Magnificent, the toughest lord in the game, probably one of the most meta lords these days, with high armor, high missile block chance, high melee stats, defensive abilities to buff up his melee capacity, perfect vigor, immune to psychology, and most importantly, the auric armor. All these factors combined turn him into an immovable object in the Chaos roster. More often than not, you see him surviving till the end of the battle, soloing half the stack of your army, and somehow, some reason, carrying the whole Chaos army on his back and turn the tide. If he's your enemy, that's a hell of a pain to deal with, since you just can't really kill him. But fret not, today we'll be looking at how to kill him once and for all as soon as possible. Now, for the army matchups, we have the Vampire Counts versus its Chaos. This is a rather favorable matchup for the Undead, and yeah, basically I was just kind of practicing with the Undead these days, so I'll be using them more often, and you'll see them in replays more often as well. Today we're going to talk about how to kill Sigvald. So the matchup doesn't really matter. You can do some similar stuff if you can find some substitute to replace the undead components over here, and I'll talk about it later for like substitutes from other factions. Right now, let's go into the army builds. For the undead, we have a whole line of zombie chaff in front, a back line of grave gods with great weapons. For a meteor, a little bit more damage dealing back line. Of course, there's also a White King in the middle doing some heroic support. As for mobility, we have chill guys in the front. These guys with ethereal unit, that physical resistance really help them out against something like, say, throwing axes and javelins. So perfect for countering skirmishing cav, especially with that chill aura, giving them 36% speed debuff to enemies around them. If these guys get close to the enemy skirmishers, they can and will catch them. In the skies, we have a line of Felbats. They're mostly there for, nuisance, just really harassing enemy skirmishers and whatnot. And for the killing power of this build, we have a Terrorgeist and, of course, the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. One of the best duelists in the game. Definitely one of the most powerful melee lords in the whole Vampire roster. On the Dragon, this guy with a bunch of magics available to him, and sort of anti-heroes, heart piercing to buff up the weapon damage, as well as Helm of Discord to debuff area of effective buff as well, to debuff all the melee stats of units around him. This guy can really carry the back of the undead army as just basically a very typical vampire fashion lord. As for the Chaos army, we have a rather sturdy infantry corps, with a front line of Chaos Marauders, two chosen with great weapons in the back. With the Demon Spew, poison damage dealers, these guys can work down a lot of undead infantry, flanked by some Chaos Warriors with halberds. And for skirmishing and mobility, we have some Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, great for handling something like, say, Blood Knights and just a heavy undead infantry, as well as some Chaos Warhounds with poison. Now, since we are done with army builds, let's get the battle started. We'll go forward with some fast forward right now, since it's just a little bit of poking from the skirmish cav, throwing in some axes against the chill guys, but the physical resistance really negated a lot of that damage. Over here, Sigvald beelining for that zombies, just trying to get his 30s as early as possible, but, well, that's not really Prince Sigvald-like, isn't it? But whatever, he's a melee maniac. Some Terrorgeist went down the line on some Chosen, doing some nice, decent damage. Felbas tried to catch these Marauder Horsemen here, but not really succeeding. Two guys coming in for that rear charge against some Chaos Marauders, trying to do some damage, but for some reason, the charge wasn't quite effective. And over here, front lines are now engaging Chaos Chosen with great weapons, pushing in against these Grave Gods. Demon Spew already engaging in the front line with the cover of some Chaos Marauders against Grave Gods with great weapons and zombies. A zombie summon going behind these Demon Spew, pinning them in the front line now. Terrorgeist going in. Mobility of the Chaos comes down over here, trying to do a flanking charge and surround the Grave Gods. And oh no, a zombie unit pinning down these Demon Spew means that they can't retreat from the engagement, and winds up. They've gone down the line, clipping some stuck Chosen Warriors over here now as well, and clipping these Chaos Marauders, and absolutely destroying the unit of Demon Spew and these Chaos Marauders. And over here, finally the Blood Dragon Lord dived down, trying to munch on these Chosen Warriors, and these Chaos Warriors with Halberd needs to come in and start going into the blob and start engaging. Over here, Chaos Warhounds trying to catch the Chill Guys, but with the diving of Terror Guys, they are routed, terrified right now by the combined might of Chill Guys, Grave Gods, and Terror Guys. Over here, you can see that Helm of Discord is popped on these units. Their melee stats were debuffed, as well as with Blood Dragon Vampire Lord just buffing himself up by a lot with his abilities. Chill Guys are now disengaging, going after the Marauder Horsemen, and that's what I said. Down to 58 speed, these Chill Guys' Chill Aura is no joke, really allowing them to catch up with the faster, equally fast skirmishing cavalry. And yeah, right now it's just a slugfest right now. Chosen are definitely chopping down Grave Gods efficiently, and in the middle it's just a bunch of zombies who are now disintegrating, so only the lone White King stands, surrounded by Chosen with great weapons and Chaos with halberds. He's not having a good time whatsoever. Thankfully, with some breath attacks, thinning out the blobs by a bit, but still, with Flaming Sword of Ruin, he is in quite a bit of pickle. On the far side, these Marauder Horsemen are now getting chased off by some bats, as well as some Chill Guys. Terror Guys coming in, trying to assassinate this Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, but he's not too that slow, so he can be able to run around and kite a bit as the Terror Guys crawl around. The Blood Dragon Vampire Lord dive in, terrified some Chosen. For some reason, they still don't have immune to psychology, so it's kind of strange, but whatever. But now, with the whole blob just kind of saturating, the Blood Dragon Lord shouldn't be staying in there for too long, as the combats will grind him down. Some zombie summons has gone down to give the White King a little bit more cover. Some Chaos Warhounds are now bailing out the Chaos Sorcerer, who is terrified. And yeah, with the whole blob going on and the zombie summon, the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord decided to just, you know what, I'm just gonna stay in the skies, debuff these guys with a bunch of my Helm of Discord, and do some breath attacks, thin them out before I'd have to engage. And Prince Sigvald is in the fray and coming in straight for this White King. And yeah, he's not long for this war with a bunch of surround, but here comes the Blood Dragon Lord coming in with the side swipe. He was almost full health. Prince Sigvald was almost full health, but now already down to 2,900. And then as we look at the clock, it's 56 seconds, 5 minutes, 56 seconds. And he is already down to half health, just a grand slap with, let me see, a Sword of Anti-Heroes and Heart Piercing active right now. He is whooping, he's rocking whooping 861 weapon strength. This is rather insane. And Sigvald, being engaged in combat, did not have that charge defense against all, and he's slapped hard by that charge bonus, which not only buffs the melee attack of the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, but also the weapon strength. Probably explains why Prince Sigvald is taking so much damage right now. Prince Sigvald have to go back into the blob, getting protected, whereas the Blood Dragon is so buffed up. And oh no, another hit down to 1,600, and another hit yet again, and just breaking through his tough defense. Down to 900, 600, 9, and he's dead. The mark right now is 6 minutes 20 seconds, and Sigvald is dead in, say, like roughly 25 seconds. Yeah, he's already dead. That was a pretty fast snipe attempt. So yeah, with the loss of their lord, the Chaos army can no longer hold. With the Terra presence, with the Terra guys and the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, these Chaos warriors can no longer hold. They are terrified, bailing. The White King gone down because he's solo, but army losses is hit with one last fireball from that sorcerer. Chaos is defeated. The undead stands tall. Now let's have a look at the post-battle screen. For the vampire army, the front line really didn't do much here. Only these grave gods did earn back their value. I assume they fought the Daemon's Field earlier and basically got the rear charge on some heavily armored Chaos Warriors and Chosen, so they did alright. Mats didn't really do much here, and neither did the Chill guys, who definitely did not earn back their value. They cost like 1,700, but considering they just kind of pushed off and kept these Marauder horsemen at bay, they did some pretty decent work there. Terra guys, only 1,200 value from these guys. Did some nice breath attacks, but just nothing too amazing. But considering they still have most of their health left, they can still put out a lot more punishing. White King died in the middle, but definitely like the heroic anchor of the front line, holding back tides and tides of Chosen and Chaos Warriors. This guy definitely did a great job. But of course, the MVP here, Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. As always, the Lord is always the MVP. 3,800 damage against a lot of key targets with his really good combat strength, diving down, feasting upon the Chosen, just biting a huge chunk out of the elite warriors of Chaos. And in the end, with all the buffs on him, really just putting the beat down on Prince Sigvald, stopping him from carrying the game like he always do. Like otherwise, Sigvald would have probably have just held the ground until half the vampire army is gone and just carry the game solo the entire army by himself and win. Like that's what Sigvald always does, right? As for the Chaos army, the Chaos Warriors Chosen didn't really do too much here, considering they only got like 1,000 value each. But the Chaos Warriors with halberds, they probably surrounded the Blood Dragon, so got some decent value out of there. Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, not too much, mostly there for buffing. The Firebolt did earn him some significant value whatsoever. As for the Skirmishing Cav, not too much value on these guys because the Chill guys did push them away. Neither did the Chaos Warhounds earn their worth. This one did, for surprisingly, but yeah. They're not the best pick here. Yes, they have poison to debuff vampire units, but their best use is to chase down missile units and just hunt down routing units as well. So, like, vampire counts they do not route, and they do not have skirmishing capacity, so their potential is kind of wasted here. And also they're easily terror routed when everything in the vampire count's army has at least fear, or some of them has terror, so not the best pick. Chaos Marauders, they're chaff after all. This one got ruined by that Winds of Death, as did these Demon Spew, so these guys didn't really earn much here. So let's go to the army selection screen and talk a little bit more about how to execute that kind of assassination on Prince Sigvald. To kill Sigvald, the best way is to utilize a really powerful single entity. And as for how this works, first of all, we need to understand how Sigvald stays up in prolonged melee combat. Well, first of all, he has really good melee stats. The melee defense is just 60, really in the higher end of a lot of legendary lords. Having 110 armor, silver shields, a really small hitbox as he's just a sword infantry, and yeah, regeneration as well as perfect vigor and immune to psychology. The melee stats allow him to minimize damage taken from melee hits, so infantry, cavalry, monsters, they will have a really minimal chance to hit him, especially when you can only surround him with so many entities, because, well, there can only be like, what, 4 or 5 people surrounding him at once because he's just a mere man. And as such, the damage output on him will be significantly lowered. Especially with the high armor, he can really absorb a lot of punishing from close range. So basically, He'll just tank out all the damage while remaining fresh with perfect vigor, and you can't terrify him with any monsters or whatnot because he's immune to psychology. And as you can't really output the damage fast enough, he'll just heal it all back up once he got a breather. And in the end, he'll just outgrind all your army while remaining fresh and in perfect condition, as pristine as his armies at the beginning of the battle, and basically carry chaos to victory. So now melee grinding is out of the question. And what about missiles? Yeah, it can be possible, but with 110 armor, silver shields, and being a small infantry-sized target, in normal situation, missile units will have a really hard time targeting him. That's a real pain of having a small entity tanky footlord. So to actually kill him off, we need to understand his weakness, which is basically exists in one aspect only, the lack of damage mitigation. Yes, he have a bunch of melee defense buffs, but it doesn't matter if he actually gets hit. And if he gets hit, he will take the full damage as long as it is armor piercing. As for how this comes into effect, we need to first think about how to circumvent all the other elements of defense of Sigvald. Melee defense, charge defense, they can all be circumvented by hitting him from behind. And healing that helps him survive in a prolonged combat doesn't matter if he is dead in, like, say, time zone of 30 seconds. Like, he just doesn't have enough time to heal. And that is what you need to do. Break through his armor with armor piercing, a ridiculously high armor piercing weapon strength. Circumvent the defenses on his melee side with a hit from behind, and try to burst as much damage as possible on him in a short period of time so that he doesn't have the time and space to heal. So the answer is to charge him from behind with a really high power single entity. So for vampires, for example, you have dragons, especially a Blood Dragon Vampire Lord with all his buffs, getting to some ridiculous weapon strength, and charging him from behind, utilizing that charge bonus and circumventing his defenses. My Blood Dragon Lord managed to land the first few hits, and with some good RNG also land the last few hits and really finishing him off. Of course, you don't have to fixate yourself on something like the vampire counts. You have something similar in terms of, say, the Lizard Man. The Dresaurians, Ancient Stagnons, Master Mundi himself, with Zlak under his legs, just really charging forward and giving him the beatdown. Empire has something similar as well. Calfrans, he doesn't even need to go on to his Deathclaw. Just pop up Galmaraz, ride into battle with, say, a Bartered Warhorse, and he'll be able to give Sigmar the taste of cold steel. As for other factions, I haven't looked into them a lot, but say the elves, they have dragons as well. Greenskins, you can try, say, something like the Rogue Idol. They have ridiculous weapon strength as well. Basically, something that can give Sigvald a serious beatdown in a short period of time. Yeah, really pressuring him and preventing him from any chances to rest and heal back up. And voila, you have a dead Chaos Lord. Of course, you can also utilize magic to help you out. Say, for example, the Lore of Shadows. A really useful spell called Occam's Mind Razor, giving that precious armor-piercing weapon damage and base weapon damage, just buffing up your single entities to ridiculous weapon strength, and then you hit Sigvald, sideline him with that powerful strike. And yeah, he'll be dead before your opponent realizes what's going on. So to wrap up, basically, the best way to deal with Sigvald is just to tangle him with a bunch of chaff, occupy him, and find that perfect moment to strike with all your buffs on, pushing your damage to the limit and really giving him the grand slam, sniping him out right then and there. preventing him from any chances of recovery. So yeah, that's about it for today's video, and I hope you like it. If you do enjoy it, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button, as I'll be regularly uploading content about Total War Warhammer 2 online multiplayer, with topics covering from, say, tips and strategies on multiplayer, crazy army builds, or just battle replays in general. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.